Chivas. All right, let's talk about Alexis Vega, Herc. Is he still a good enough player to make Chivas better, or is he now a bigger part of the problem? What do you think?
I mean, at this point, he's just part of the problem. El morbo, right? Like, you're tuning in not to see him play. You're almost tuning in to see if he will play and what that means. It's a circus. He's not the first player to be kind of encompassed in this circus that is Chivas. Chivas is a massive team, and it's not for everybody. As a player, you can kind of get lost in it, and this is where Alexis Vega finds himself. He's only been involved in 5% of the goals this season for Chivas. They've only won one game with him in the lineup. One game, Seb. Chivas, not just this season, but for quite some time, has been a better team without Alexis Vega. We're talking about a player that there is a lot of hype around. When he was a young and up-and-comer out of Toluca, when he was playing Libertadores, and he scored a few goals in League and a few goals in Libertadores, there was the promise. And you bet on that promise. They bought him because of that promise. And then he gets here and he shows you those flashes, shows you what type of player he potentially could be. But he's not been that player. He's been a shadow of that player. He's a luxury player and one that is expensive and injury prone. Last season, Victor Guzman was a much better player. Chivas were a much better team when Alexis Vega wasn't part of that, when he was injured. This season, it's the same thing. Right now, all he's doing is causing a distraction, and that's on Paunovic, because if we look at the players, because I know that they love to refer him as an idolo, as an idol, as an icon at Chivas. When we look at the players who have come in and kind of grabbed, not even that icon role, if you will, but just grabbed the opportunity by the horns and taken it. There have been players who have done very well with a big price tag. Rodolfo Pizarro, he did very well at Chivas. Rodolfo Cota, you have Orbelin Pineda, you had all types of players, even Alanis, Osvaldo Alanis. You had players who were there, who were able to handle the pressure, handle the moment. Alexis Vega, he's not one of them.
You say he's expensive. You say he's injury prone. He got into all this trouble because he's ill-disciplined. And at some point, you thought both Veljko Paunovic and maybe even higher up, Amaury Vergara, the owner, were going to really hold firm here and say, all right, we need to have a team that's disciplined. We're not going to have this guy back. And suddenly he's back and playing and making big plays, having big moments where he's supposed to be the guy. I just had a kid, Herc. They tell you, if you're gonna threaten your kids with a punishment, you got to follow through on it. That's what's happening here at Chivas. There's no hope if you're a Chivas fan that there's ever going to be discipline in this team, because the guy who was partying in the hotel after the Toluca game is still on the team and still playing. There's no discipline. And you're telling me here they don't need him. Now, you in the past have said there's a soft landing spot for him at Cruz Azul and down the road. But if you're Cruz Azul watching this guy right now, I mean, he's got no Mexican national team future. Why would you bet on this player?
Because it'll be cheaper than what he would have been if he was successful. That's the thing.
Do you think he's going to be successful at Cruz Azul, Herc? I know you bought into this player in the past. I never have. I've looked at the productivity. It's never been there. You think Alexis Vega is going to turn it around at 20? What is he?
26
years old.
26 this month.
Keep waiting. You think he's going to turn around out of all clubs, Cruz Azul?
Turn it around, how so? Because I don't think he's going to have the career that many think he will have. I do think he would be a better player than at Chivas at a reduced rate. I think he's a talented player, but talent can only take you so far. And you're absolutely right, and that's the problem with Chivas. That's the problem with Veljko Paunovic, who almost, went the opposite way with this. I wanted him to take the penalty kick. I wanted him to make it to recuperate, to salvage this footballer. The opposite would have happened. What do you think happens to the rest of those footballers when they see a guy that didn't just make one mistake, didn't just have 2 strikes, but it's 3 strikes? A week before he got caught in this indiscipline, he was out in a press conference talking about how he's made mistakes and he's a different player, he's a different person, different man, and boom, there you go. If you give him that opportunity like they did and he scores this penalty kick, if I'm a young guy like Martinez, who he took out and he took with him, and he was caught in that indiscipline, if you will. If I'm a young player and I see this happening, I'm thinking to myself, I'll have a second chance. I'll have a third opportunity. If I'm good enough, it doesn't matter. It's sad, but this is who Alexis Vega and Chivas are today. It's almost better for Paunovic that he missed this. I think it's just time for a clean break.
Incredible to think, Herc, that almost exactly a year ago we were asking the question whether Alexis Vega should be starting for Mexico at the World Cup. How quickly things have changed.